from NBC. This was from a while ago. Let me get a drink. It says, absentee owners are crowding the housing market, data shows. The share of homes sold to absentee owners has increased since 2020 across 9 major metro areas, and NBC News analysis of real estate data found. Now, I'm not going to kick NBC and their news coverage when I'm reading an article for them. But my fear has always been, like in 2007, 2008, like everybody that I knew had like 3 houses. They had one house they lived in, one house they were fixing up to move into, and then one house they were going to flip for a profit. And then when things ground to a halt, they didn't have any money to fix any of them, and they were living in a terrible house because they hadn't worked on that one to fix it up yet, and they had no money. It was really weird. It says secondary home and investment property buyers are a rising share of home buyers in major cities, real estate data shows, and experts say the effect these deep-pocketed shoppers are having in housing markets are muscling out first-time home buyers. Well, there's no question that was the case. BlackRock Financial had a company that they own that when I was listing houses this past summer, I would get a letter from them. It would be a purchase order. I mean, it would just be an offer to purchase. And it would be the minute that the house went active, and usually for asking. So on the first day I had a listing even up, I already had an offer at asking from BlackRock. Okay. So if anybody ever asked me, like, do you have an offer on the property in hand? I did. And it was not like just your mom and pop group. It says the share of homes sold to absentee owners, people in the market for properties that won't be their primary residence, has increased since 2020 in 228 out of 307 zip codes across 9 major metropolitan areas, from Seattle to Charlotte, North Carolina. NBC News analysis of data from real estate data provider Adam found. Through December of 2022, absentee sales in most of these areas remained higher than before the pandemic. With deep inventory shortages, experts say this has changed the rules of the game, propping up prices and keeping competition tight. Okay, so let's just go over that. Yes, 100%. But BlackRock and all those people have stopped buying. They stopped buying months ago. What's going on? Why do we still have, at least in St. Louis, why do we have this huge backlog of buyers? Absentee owners have cash, they have knowledge, they're not as concerned about what a home looks like if they're not living in it, says Tiffany Graham, a realtor with Keller Williams River Cities in Columbus, Georgia. Cash offers are typically a calling card of wealthy, seasoned buyers, experts say, often overlapping with investor and second home buyer preference. So I would say that if you, like, oh boy, I got another net. So I would say that, so an unsophisticated investor in this market will come at me and say, I have an all cash offer. And you say, okay. And then they come and try and buy a house for like 10% below ask in this market. And I'm like, well, that's not going to do it. And they're like, well, you know, that's the best offer you're going to get. It's all cash. And I'm like, I've already got 3 offers in hand that are $40,000 over asking. And they're not cash, but at the end of the day, I'm going to be able to get it financed because I've looked around in the neighborhood and I can see that's going to appraise. And the people can put in an appraisal insurance that says, look, as long as it appraised for X, we'll pay the difference. Anyway, we have some stat in our reports that 75% of all investor purchases are done with cash, says Sher Barkari, the senior economist at Redfin. Well, that's not unusual. The reason why you would go all cash is because you don't want an appraisal or you're worried about appraisal. That's why you would take one as a seller. But there's no reason to worry about appraisal right now. It says Ryan Pavlich, a marketing analyst in San Antonio, spent 18 months trying to buy a house beginning in 2018. Pavlich, 29, said he placed offers on 9 homes, including a 3-bedroom starter home with a new fence that he offered $5,000 above asking price. Well, he only offered $5,000 above asking price for it. That was his problem. Did he not see, did his real estate agent not see how bad it was? I mean, seriously, when we're going $100,000 over asking and you're at 5, you're not going to win. He was beating on all of them. Each time we lost, the common denominator was cash. That's not true. Like if I'm an agent, here's what happens. I had a house that I listed in July. We had 25 or 30 offers, okay, on the house. We had 4 offers that were the exact same price, and then we had 4 offers that were below, and we're talking 45, 50,000 over asking. And so when we picked one, it wasn't the highest one, by the way, it was the strongest one. When we picked it, I just sent an email to everybody and I said, look, sorry, you know what the market's doing right now. We took another offer. I didn't say it's all cash, but I wouldn't be surprised if people thought that it was all cash offer. I don't think it was an all cash offer. Anyway, so I've had buyers say like, oh, I can't compete with all cash. Well, you just have to figure it out. There's ways to do it. Don't feel bad. You can do it. That's not why you're losing. You're losing most likely because you're honestly, if you're right up at your credit level, like say you can afford a $300,000 home and you've got a pre-approval, you probably need to be down in the 240s, 230s, asking price when the house comes on market, so that you have a chance to bid, 260, 270. You're not going to win it. You're not going to win if you have a $300,000 approval and you're looking at houses for 300. Not going to work. In each of the 9 metro areas NBC analyzed, Atlanta, Austin, Baltimore, Charlotte, Detroit, Miami, Phoenix, San Antonio, and Seattle, a larger share of cash sales went to absentee owners. In San Antonio, 82% of absentee purchases have been made in cash since 2018, compared to 52% of owner-occupied sales. Now, if you go, like this was written in, I think, February. If you go and you fast forward the numbers, certainly in Phoenix, that was where Zillow and Open Door and OfferPad and Redfin offers, I mean, they were just all there. So I suspect their numbers went down. Also the same thing with places in Florida. They weren't here very much. I mean, we still have Open Door, but they just not the presence that they were in these other places. It says, Pavlik said he watched his sold homes he had bid on resurfaced as rentals. Yes. My fiance's parents sold their home to Zillow. We saw it for rent less than a month later. That's where it got bad. Absentee buying increased in 40 out of 55 San Antonio zip codes with measurable buyer activity. Often the greatest increases occurred in entry-level priced areas. Most of the homes Pavlich looked at were in the $200,000, $300,000 range, a category home that is quickly disappearing. In 2019, 52% of new homes sold in the South were priced under $300,000. And then by 2022, that figure was 13%. Yes, this is an affordability problem. In Bexar County's Texas 78250 zip code, where Pavlich searched and where median home price is $236,000, the share of absentee sales nearly doubled. It increased from 19% in the 2 years before March of 2020 to 34.6% at the time since. Across San Antonio, the 10 zip codes with the largest increases in absentee purchases had median sale prices ranging from the mid-100s to the lower 300,000. Says, while Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell expected a reset of the housing market, these decreases have not materialized. Instead, aspiring homeowners face continued high housing prices on top of high interest in mortgage rates. And so my question to Jerome Powell is, why do you think that the housing market would go down? Who's accepting less for a property? That's the real issue. Who wants to get out of a property so bad that they're willing to take less for it? It says for wealthier cash holding buyers, mortgage rates may be a boon. The mortgage, I don't know. So I have a lady that's in the $800,000 price range, and she would buy the house in cash. And she goes and looks from time to time, and she's looking for something very specific, and she's not interested in playing any games. Like, she can just write the check. And she's waiting. And I mean, she's just basically in baseball, she's waiting for a pitch, and she's going to hit it out of the park whenever she sees it. The market to her doesn't really matter. It's the house that she wants, and she'll buy it. I don't think that mortgage rates rising, even if they lower the prices, for her, she's not playing the same game. She's not on the same field that we are. The mortgage rate changes slowed the market and created a window for buyers already there, and such mom and pop outfits looking to buy a rental property. So that didn't happen here so much. And as increased mortgage rates swept competition out of the market, those buyers continue to make the same offers. Graham, the Georgia realtor, said, look, what happened here was we had buyers were finally able to buy homes, okay? And then the market ramped back up again. And that's all honestly, it's inventory related. I mean, some of the houses that I see, the prices being paid are just garbage. For some, the pressure has been too much. Hannah Quinn, a stylist at Madewell in Nashville, spent 4 months looking for a house in 2022 before giving up and deciding to rent. That's your own fault. The housing, anytime, no matter what, housing is a journey. It's a hunt. You're hunting for a house. You have to treat it that way. 4 months, not going to do it in this market. I've seen out-of-town buyers, out-of-town investors, Airbnb owners, people who moved out of the city but wanted to keep a property on the side for passive income. It's so cutthroat that buying a home is not on my radar anymore. At some point, I just need a place to live. I get that sentiment, and I worry about people. But going back and buying or going back and renting isn't necessarily going to work, if that makes any sense. I mean, you're still going to be paying out the wazoo. I mean, I could totally understand if you were in a situation where you could go rent something and you could get like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath rental for under $1,000 in a nice part of town. Man, take it and just wait until the market changes. But that's not what we saw. I mean, we saw that same rental going, $1,400, $1,500 here. That's ridiculous. Let me know what you think in the comments.